This is a Radio Shack DIY tube screamer. It looks kind of complex, but the circuit's not as complex as it looks from here. Basically, you got one transistor on the input, just a buffer. There's no gain at all, it just buffers the input. You've got an IC that has 2 op amps in it. It's a dual op amp IC. There's several you can use. The only important thing about it is that it'd be able to run off of a 9-volt battery for the power supply. And then for the clipping section, on this one we're using one diode for clipping, one LED for clipping, and one cap across the clipping circuit. You can use 2 diodes, you can use 3 diodes, you can use 2 LEDs. Different combinations give you different sounds of clipping. This one would be asymmetrical clipping because the diode will clip at one level, the LED will clip at a different level, and the LED has a softer clip than the diode. So to me, the sound's more interesting this way. The real diodes produce harder clipping. It's just a different sound. Asymmetrical is nice because when a tube clips, it's asymmetrical and it's more of an interesting sound. So I would recommend asymmetrical clipping. And the reason I like the diodes, it's a softer clip, it's a different sound. The guitarist from Boston, Tom Scholz, he was a big fan of diode clipping. He preferred the sound. So you got input buffer, you got a dual op amp, and you got one transistor for an output buffer right here. These are both NPN transistors on the input and output. Gain of 1, there's no gain at all, it's just a buffer. What goes in is exactly what comes out. And everything else here, just resistors and caps. Got an LED here for power. And very, well, I wouldn't say simple build, but once you look at the schematic a little bit, it's not as daunting. It's not as... if you just break it down to the 3 basics, input buffer, a little boost, output buffer, just try and keep it that simple, and just realize the other components on the board here are just to support those 3 functions. This one does not have the FET transistor, the JFET's installed, so there's no JFET bypass on this one. This one would be a true bypass. But it sounds pretty good, and as I get the sound better on this thing, I'll start uploading some sound clips. But this is a fun project. Pretty quick, pretty cheap. Get it right at the local Radio Shack, so great project. Let me know what you think.